Welcome to the fray, Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. This will be my 5th episode of my Honest Opinion series, I do believe. And basically, I'm going to go over my honest opinion as the Designer's Cut DLC as a whole. I'm not going to go over just Arms Race or just the 4th skill tree. I'm going to try to go over everything here. And since it's been a while, I've had a bunch of experience with this, so I think I'm allowed to finally speak on it. I didn't want to give first day impressions. I didn't want to be one of those type of YouTubers that is just like, oh yeah, this is great, you should buy it. But no, this is my honest review on the whole Designer's Cut DLC. And if you're still one of the people that have not got it yet, maybe this will sway you to not get it. Maybe this will sway you to buy it. Completely up to you guys, but I am pretty neutral with the subjects. But let's get into basically my honest opinion about it. So to start off with the big thing, let's just start off with Arms Race, something quick and simple. Now, Arms Race I really enjoyed as a new game mode. I think it's a great concept to bring into a Borderlands game, and it's unique. It's almost like a defense type of thing, but at the same time, it's something completely new that we have not seen before. But I do have a certain issue with Arms Race. There is some minor hiccups that I think need to be addressed. And one of those major hiccups is, it's, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I don't know if it's just because I'm conditioned to Borderlands, or maybe I'm just right, but it feels a little too easy. It feels a little too easy playing Arms Race. Once you get a good TDO or something, you could just breeze through it, and it's kind of actually boring because you're doing so much damage. And honestly, it's a game mode that I think has a lot of potential if they keep constantly updating it. But that's just the thing. That relies on them adding new content to it and updating it, because guess what? I want to ask you a question. When it comes to Arms Race, you finish all your Arms Race runs, you no longer need to get all the new weapons that drop from Arms Race anymore. What's the point in playing it anymore? If you have every single drop from Arms Race, you have no reason to actually be playing it again. Now, one could argue that, oh, well, the Maliwan takedown's the same thing. I have every single drop from the Maliwan takedown, and I still play the Maliwan takedown. Well, you still play the Maliwan takedown because you want to test out your builds and you have all of your gear. But what incentive does a player have if you have all the drops from a specific game mode and you have zero reason to go back to it? So what I'm saying is this: if you guys agree with this or not, let me know. I was thinking for the Arms Race in general that the final boss is always different. But what do I mean by that? I mean, of course we have that final boss, but he's the same boss every single time. What if every Arms Race run was different in a way that there's 4 different bosses that can spawn and you have to approach them in different ways? One boss, you're not allowed to use TD or chucks because they resist explosive damage. One boss, you're not allowed to use elements because they resist elemental damage. And other bosses, they're weak to elemental damage. It would add more of a strategy to Arms Race in general, instead of get a purple TDR, and you don't even need a purple TDR. You can really go into the boss with a white TDR, and it would add more opportunities because maybe those other bosses have dedicated drops, so it's not all a game of chance and anointments. Now, I could really touch on the subject of anointments for a 20-minute video, but I'm not going to get into that today. But I think it would be a great idea to have different bosses at the end of Arms Race. They're randomly generated. You never know which boss it is until you actually go down in there. Or maybe, you know that little area before you jump down into the Arms Race boss? Maybe there's a billboard with like a symbol that lets you know which boss it is. Like, it'll be like a cardboard sign and it has like a red bowl on it, and that signifies, oh, it's this boss. But maybe you're on another run and it has a red hexagon or anything that resembles that boss, and you're like, oh, that's this boss, we should prepare for this. And it would make it less stale, because I've been playing Arms Race. I only probably made 20-30 runs in Arms Race and I'm already bored of it. That might just be me. It might just be me that's bored of it, but I'm personally bored of the same go in there with nothing, get a TDR, chuck it at the boss, you win. But I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, because I see people loving Arms Race, but this is just my personal opinion. I want to say take my opinions with a grain of salt, because my opinion isn't entitled over anybody else's. I believe in the fact that everyone has their own opinion on a subject, and just because someone is this and that doesn't mean their opinion means any more than yours. But yeah, that's honestly, if I were to rate Arms Race in terms of the idea within itself, it's a guaranteed 20 out of 10. Arms Race within itself as an idea is awesome. It's new, it's unique, and I think it's pretty dang cool. My problem is with the people like me, with the people probably like you that play this game quite often, and once you get all those weapons from Arms Race, you have no reason to play it anymore. And I'm saying that does not make Arms Race entirely bad. I'm just saying it makes Arms Race not as long as a lifespan. It's not something you can really infinitely redo without getting bored, at least in my opinion. I like the takedowns because it's always different. You could always test out your different builds, and it's basically the ultimate test on a build. And that's another thing. I don't want to really make a separate video on this subject, but we need raid bosses back. We need different raid bosses to just pay Iridium, add some new Iridium or something, just so we can fight some raid bosses, hop right into there, and go back to those classic raid bosses. But that's just me. That's just what I personally think we need. We need to stop with all these takedowns. But I like the takedowns, but I think we need some classic raid bosses back into this game. But anyway, moving on to the next subject, we're talking about the 4 skill trees. And I kind of went over Flak's 4 skill tree before it even came out, but I didn't really give my honest opinion on what they do. Now, I'm going to say right now, I cannot vouch for the other skill trees in this game because I mainly play Flak, and I'm not going to trash on any of the other skill trees or Flaks, but I will critique them. But in terms of how the skill trees function as a whole, should you get them in terms of do you need them? I'm going to say yes, but at the same time, I'm going to say no. And the reason behind that is because your builds are perfectly fine without them. But at the same time, I feel like they should have been added. They were added in a way that they filled the gaps in for certain characters. Zane finally has a reliable action skill and annoyance. Mose has an action skill duration annoyance. Amara has another ball of death. What's new about that? But Flak didn't really get anything quote unquote new. I mean, yes, you could suspend enemies up into the air. Yes, you can have more shields, which is nice, but what functionality did Flak really get besides crowd control? And I'm not complaining about crowd control. If you want to see the build that I'm using in the background right now, click in the top right about now. You can check out that after this video if you would like. But what I'm saying is Flak kind of got the short end of the stick here, in my opinion. But, you know, he always gets a short end of the dominant stick. That's kind of what I'm used to at this point. But we still work with it. We still work with Flak because I love Flak. But anyway, are the 4 skill trees worth your money? Absolutely. I think they're absolutely worth your money, and I'm not partnered by Gearbox to say this. No, I'm not partnered with anyone. I'm just saying, if you have the money to get the skill trees, they're not a waste of money. You're going to be getting a lot of different playstyles and functionality, regardless of the character you're playing with these skill trees, and you're going to be happy you got them. I'm not saying skill trees are bad, but I'm saying a lot of the skill trees within themselves, oh god, this might get a lot of hate here, but the skill trees within themselves is the very definition of power creep, in my opinion, but for skills. Yes, and let me explain to you why I feel this way. Now, Flak's only reload skill prior to the 4 skill tree was Second Intention. Doing this, when he got a kill or a crit kill, he would get increased reload speed for 5 seconds. Now, of course, you can boost this to 10 seconds if you have big game, but that was his only reliable reload speed. Now, you're somebody that doesn't have the 4 skill tree, so you can't get the new purple skill tree, but look at the new skill in the 4 skill tree. You get a flat out 40% reload speed no matter what. Don't need to kill an enemy. Don't need to wait a duration. You just get reload speed. That's all it is. You get this instantly, and that just, what point do you have in speccing in a Second Intention when you already have a skill like this? Now, this is just one of the good examples. Not every single skill in here is a definition of power creep, though I will say some of these skills are just flat out kind of reworks. I mean, Combat Veterinarian is just the freaking lifesteal anoint put into a skill, which never really worked in the first place. And I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not that good either because you have to have the enemy shot by you and your pet. It's not really that great. And another thing, keep them safe. I mean, this is nice in a pinch, but if you have fuzzy math already giving us shields, why would you add a skill that gives instant shields? I mean, it's not a terrible skill, but it's counterintuitive. If I'm shooting an enemy, getting my shields, why would I attack command an enemy to get, I don't know. Now let's go into Flak's 4 skill tree specifically. Now specifically saying his capstone is a little underwhelming, a little bit. Now, the only reason I say it's underwhelming is because we are so used to, with Flak, to have constant damage. He has so much damage. Every tree, regardless, bring purple out of the equation, his 3 base trees, each one of these trees has some sort of dealing damage potential. Every single tree. But this one really doesn't have as much because this is his survivability tree. And that's basically what this tree is centered around, and people are struggling to understand this. A lot of people said, oh, I'm not going to buy the tree, it doesn't give me more damage. Of course, they made this as a fix for Flak survivability. And did they complete that? I believe they did. His survivability, in my opinion, is 10 times better than it was before with this tree. Some could even say it's kind of overkill. But what does all this tell me, Term? At the end of the day, I'm sitting here, I'm wondering, is Designer's Cut even worth it? And some of you are even contemplating, hey, maybe is DLC 2 even worth it? Well, I'm not going to be the one to say go buy it right now or don't buy it, because that's just not how I am. But honestly, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, it's what you want. Do you want the new skill trees? Do you want the extra weapons and content? Do you... It's really... It comes down to it. But if you were to come up to me and ask me, is it worth it? I would say yes. I would say it's worth getting. But there's still hiccups. There's still minor glitches and all that kind of stuff. My problem does not lie within the 4 skill tree itself. It lies within Arms Race. Arms Race is fun. It's cool. But it's just not replayable, in my opinion. I feel like it's gonna get stale quick. I mean, for me, it already got stale. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like it's already stale. And I didn't feel that way with the Maliwan takedown. I didn't feel that way with the Guardian takedown, even when it was unbalanced at the start. Oh yeah, and if you guys want to know about the Final Form skins, they're alright. I mean, they're just cosmetics. At the end of the day, that's really your opinion. If you think they look good, I think Flak kind of looks like a weird version of Zero controversy, a video coming soon. But yeah, that's honestly just my honest opinion on all this kind of stuff. If you were to ask me to get it, I would get it, but that's just me. I think this has a lot of potential, but it's not yet refined. It's definitely not in its best state, but Borderlands itself is in its best state right now. I do believe with Mayhem 11, it feels great. But as for Designer's Cut, as for Arms Race, it's going to need to be constantly updated and improved upon for it to actually be a fun, innovative game mode. But, you know, we'll see what they do with the updates. Since they're not doing weekly hot fixes, maybe they'll put more time into Arms Race. Maybe they'll add those extra bosses I was talking about. Maybe they will add more legendaries. Maybe they'll add different maps. But that's just my honest opinion. I honestly think that the 4 skill trees are awesome and worth it. But in the long run, Arms Race is going to need some sort of updates or changes or fixes, because it's just too easy, in my opinion. It's too easy to just to speed through, and it's just very repetitive, because it's spawn in, get Tedior, or get a rocket launcher, and you win. But yeah, guys, that's basically my personal opinion on this. If you don't agree with me, I completely understand. Tell me why you don't agree with me in the comments, or tell me why you do agree with me in the comments. I read mainly every single comment on these honest opinion videos because I like to know what everybody thinks. But I hope you guys have a terrific day. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack. And hit that bell so you don't miss out on any Borderlands 3 videos in the future. I am going to be releasing a new video probably within the next few days. Going to be a little bit of a surprise video. I'll let you guys know more about that later. And make sure you join my Flak Pack Discord. Link will be in the description below. That means a lot if you guys join that. You get to talk to me personally, ask me any questions, tell me about anything. Honestly, it's just a fun place to hang out. Hope to see you guys there. Me and Warloaderbot. I don't really have a name for him yet because I can't change it. But, you know, someone give him a name, and I'll see you guys later.